Simon, thank you so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Simon, you've worked at some great companies, IBM, Move, and about 2.5 years ago, you decided to start your own company. Can you tell us why you decided that this was the right time?
Sure. Actually, it wasn't much more. We always maybe we always had the plan to start a business. So we're two founders. There's Catherine, my co-founder, and I. And it was we always had planned to start a business. We love to do like more consulting rather than build products. We love to take on new challenges and help businesses grow with AI and also learn about different industries. And at some point, both Catherine, my co-founder, and I were working at the Volta Charging, which was a San Francisco startup that was heavily investing in electric vehicle charging infrastructure. And unfortunately, like maybe other San Francisco or Silicon Valley startup, that company was spending way more than it was actually making revenue, to the point where it was close to bankruptcy. And it was acquired by Shell. And for
Oh,
Catherine and
wow.
I, it was like a complete like shift and like a great we saw this as a great timing to actually try out in our own to do our own projects and to actually start this idea that we had of helping startup and small businesses integrate AI and create their own AI products because we're two data scientists or machine learning engineer, if you will. And we've also had like previous experience in the consulting space, so there was a good fit there. But maybe we can get a bit more into that later. So we decided to start our own and a company. And what was good is at the beginning we also were heavily connected with other startups in the Silicon Valley space that were um, yeah launching their own products or initiatives. So right at the get-go, we were lucky to have a few contracts here and there helping companies. There was it was the start of generative AI and a lot of hype also was building around AI. I already at that time. So we helped companies into the insurance space, also other companies into the electric vehicle charging space and gaming. So we had all those first contracts that were already happening as like day one as we started. So it was like the perfect sort of opportunity and timing for us to start. Fortunately, because of the network we had built over there and the expertise we had were like was a good match like at the time. So we decided to take on a few contracts over there. We also had a few contracts here in Quebec. And at first, it was really more of a two freelancers helping each other out in projects and really doing more of their own thing. And it's more towards like a year ago that we started getting more projects than we were actually able to handle. And we also had the desire to see this thing grow. Hence, we started doing more marketing, more efforts um, to be seen as like one like a the best like AI players consulting like firm here in Quebec. But it was like a very of a slow process because service like I think is what's something great about doing service is if you want to found a product or a company, selling your time at first is way less risky and allows you to learn how to manage a business and learn how to like manage all those different aspects that we had no idea about when we
Mm.
first launched. So yeah, a lot of learning and to it like in those last 2.5 years for sure.
Yeah, so many questions come up here. So, first of all, you keep mentioning your co-founder. Can you talk to us a
Yeah.
bit about your relationship with her? So, why did you decide to team up?
Yeah, so Catherine, she's an expert in everything computer vision. So in AI, there's like many fields. AI is such a massive space. I think you know yourself, but you can say like data science or more anything related to forecasting, sales, or optimizing, let's say, production line in the manufacturing space. So that's like a huge part of AI projects. You could also think of generative AI, so generating text or using large chunks of text and detecting um, specific words you're looking for in the text. I think that could be one, but there's many applications of like AI, generative AI. But One other
Mm.
huge field is computer vision. So anything related to, let's say, enhancing images, detecting movement in one image. There you could think of detecting faults in producing of certain products in one image. Catherine is really great at that. She's like an expert in that field, while I'm more of an expert into everything more data science. That's my background. So we saw that together we were able to cover like a large chunk of AI use cases in terms of our technical abilities. And we also had like just a good professional fit and the ability to not only do projects, but also talk to clients, promote ourselves. Catherine is actually like an influencer in AI. She has like so many like followers on her Instagram. So she has that background. I brought like more of the yeah, also like the I'm fairly well connected in the AI space in Montreal, so we had like complementary background and skills that are both sort of yeah complementary in a way, and we believe and we still believe that we are able to grow our company because of those skills that are so um, like well aligned or well go well together. Yeah,
Right now AI is such a crowded field because
yeah.
everyone is an AI company nowadays. So I want to ask you, do you feel like the network that you've built over the years and the influence that you have on social media is
Mhm.
an edge that you have over other companies?
I think so. I think being one of the first employees at Move AI definitely brings a lot of credibility because we were in the field before, like quote unquote, it was cool. Like 2 years ago, I think ChatGPT and like generative AI put a lot of hype, and a lot of people who didn't understand AI now really associate AI with ChatGPT, which is a good and a bad thing. But having worked in the field as one of the first big AI consulting companies in Montreal is definitely brings a lot of help towards like building that credibility. One of our employees also was one of the first employees at Move AI with us back in the days, and Catherine and I we have like established ourselves like a good career as well, a good like credentials before starting our business. So when we engage with new clients, I think it helps to have sort of that seniority or that experience and that know-how. Like I think people and our clients, they often want to embrace AI and want to integrate AI, but they don't know what or they don't know how. So they really
Mm.
want to have that reassurance that we know what are the use cases or the projects that will bring them the most value when they're going to invest. So having also like the ability to reassure and like take our clients by the hand and be like, okay, well, this is where we're gonna go together, and this is like the steps we're gonna face, and this is the like sort of like the headwind we're gonna have or the challenges that might overcome, and really set the expectations toward like through that journey is, I think, also like a big maybe a bit part of our success. Like, okay, like we know what's gonna come, we've seen it in the past, and now it's just applying to different businesses or different use case.
I mean, clearly both of you are very technical and very good at what you do, but
Yeah.
building a business is a different challenge by itself. So, can you talk to us about some of the challenges that you faced, maybe since you started
Mhm.
the business?
100%. I think one thing that Catherine and I, like, we're very technical, very passionate about our work. We love to implement and code. We love to be hands-on with the clients. One thing I think we have to still work on is putting ourselves out there. Like, let's say on LinkedIn, I don't think we post enough. I don't think we market ourselves enough. I don't think we have, I think we still have a bit of the imposter syndrome to be like, hey, like we're the actual best at doing this and you should believe us that we are. This is like I think a lot of some entrepreneurs have like that inherently and they're able to sell a lot like with that confidence. I think we are confident, but not to the point that we're gonna like scream it like everywhere, and
Yeah.
go not like on be on LinkedIn and be like, oh, like we've done this, we've done, and talk about our achievement. Like we can talk about our achievement, but I think we we stay humble, and I think that's maybe like a good thing to some extent. So I think marketing and just like making us appear like we're a bigger business than we actually are is something we have like trouble doing, and I think it plays to the success of some like tech startups that just are able to make those claims. So that's something we definitely have to work on a little more, like yeah,
But
and
but
put
but
a
you
lot of
know,
time. Yeah.
Simon, a lot of people starting to feel about AI, the industry, that a lot of companies shout a lot, have great
Mhm.
marketing, but they don't have any substance. So I
Yeah.
think other companies are facing the exact opposite challenge that you are.
Yeah, and I think that's one opportunity that we're seeing is because we're seeing those companies like claim they do AI in their products, claim they do AI into their work or their ways of doing, and we're actually here to help those companies actually create those AI products because we bring that technical expertise, we bring that flexibility to work with startups and medium-sized companies that other big consulting companies do not necessarily do. So like that's something that we're sort of happy about because we so many companies want to start their generative AI products or their spin of ChatGPT with some their own data or their own sort of use case. And we're actually starting to be really good at this. Like we've helped companies in the marketing, insurance space, and start their own generative AI products just like recently. So that's something we're definitely happy about.
Awesome. And so you've talked about all these different possibilities in AI. So what are the customers that you're focusing on? What are Who are you
Mhm.
targeting exactly?
Right now, we're targeting mostly the medium-sized companies who either want to improve one of their processes or one of their products. So like those are like the two main companies. On in terms of like processes, we see that there's a lot of um, like still a lot of heavy lifting in writing documentation, looking through documentation, spending a lot of time copying data from one PDF to another, or like processes are just like really inefficient in a lot of medium-sized company. And we believe that for some medium-sized like investment, we can solve that and really accelerate and scale a lot of these processes. So that is one part of our operations, and the other is really helping other business start their own products or create an AI features within their product. So in terms of generative AI, a lot of software or SaaS want to add their generative AI as like a ChatGPT assistant within their own products to help users interact with their platform. We helped gaming companies with computer vision features where instead of interacting with a remote, you can interact with movement. And
Cool.
so there's a lot of, and we helped other businesses detect using computer vision, detect gas sorts of like types of gas using images that allow their products to be more efficient. So either, yeah, so those are like really the two sort of like services we give. And in terms of like those the companies, they're more like medium sized to the bigger end, but also when it's like a good fit or when there's the means, we also help smaller companies that like to scale up. So it's been, I'd say in the 2.5 like past year, it's been really small startup of 2 employees to big companies of over like a few thousand employees.
Well, you're definitely not bored, that's for sure.
And yeah, we're not
Yeah.
we're definitely yeah busy. We're
Yeah.
not bored, and there's so many ideas and so many like a big creative part of it too. I feel like in new challenges, people want to see like the technology is evolving so fast as well as we're implementing it in terms of like agents, especially in terms of the new models that arise in computer vision, even in data science. So it's in not only do we have to like do all those projects, but we have to stay on the top of our game and stay relevant, even as like a small company that because we see all this progress happening right before our eyes, and it's yeah, it keeps us busy, that's for sure.
So, Simon, bigger companies usually have more cash but are slower to move. But these smaller companies are usually more eager to try new technologies but are tighter on the budget. So,
Yeah,
how do you reassure them that what you're
yeah,
providing has real practical value?
yeah. So that's a really good question. I think one thing we're gonna do is to really deliver by milestones. So a company might have a project and they don't know if it's going to be successful, or they don't know if it's going to be something that is worth integrating and worth their time and their investment. So one thing we're going to do is create like a go very fast and try to create a first model or first version of the product that requires like very like to none implementation efforts in their actual process or product, just to show the customer like with a minimal investment the value that this product or proof of concept or proof of value we call it is going to bring to their own platform. So instead of like selling like a whole AI project and implementation that is going to be like very tedious and might be like a like an investment that is important to that company, we really chunk it down to de-risk every phase of the implementation and make sure that the customer is also confident that he or she should go forward with more of what we're building. So we really put the customer into the driver's seat and make sure that he or she can decide whether this is worth pursuing, because in AI compared to software, there's more of that
Mhm.
uncertainty sometimes in project, right? It can depend on the data, it can depend on the difficulty of the task that you're trying to address. So we're trying to really put all those risk factors out of the way as soon as possible into our project like journey, just to make sure that we're comfortable enough to like say, okay, we should invest more and spend more time on this matter.
You talk about demystifying AI, and you also mentioned that sometimes your client, they don't really know what they want. So do you
Mhm.
feel that after years of ChatGPT, people kind of
Yeah.
understand the AI field, or is just changing so fast that they're, like how do you feel the knowledge
Mm.
when you're talking with these companies?
That's a good question. I feel it really varies. Some of our customers are some of the early adopters in ChatGPT, and they already created their own GPT and experience with some of their documents, and now they want to take this further and implement this like as a product. So for those clients, it's more showing them like how far we can take it, and like we already have like a tech techno like a quite advanced tech conversations with them. They might know about RAG or retrieval augmented generation. They might know about like all those technical details, and we're already entering in a phase where okay, we're taking the AI or the product further. Other clients, on the other hand, are more questioning themselves as to what to do. They are a bit afraid of AI. They've heard of ChatGPT. They might be a bit insecure about the security limitations and exposing their data. And for those clients, our approach is more like through training and through change management from the get-go. So we're gonna before getting into projects, before getting into like a concrete application, we're gonna ideate to find to form like a roadmap that will suit their needs and their ambitions. We're gonna provide training to demystify all those concepts and um, technologies, just to make sure that everyone is in agreement, is comfortable, is also aware of what we're doing, and that it's not magic. It's basically data that we're manipulating and some models that might be black box, but that we can control and put a stop to, like when it's like it's not going to be dangerous, let's say. So it's different approach, and that's what service is great for, is because we need to listen and adapt our approach to different realities. Um,
Simon, I want to talk a bit about you now. Are you more hands-on when it comes to coding, or are you slowly, becoming more letting employees do the work? So, how's
Yeah.
your day-to-day like?
Oh man, I don't want to be hands off anytime soon, to be honest. Like one thing what I love is I in my work in my day to day is that I can code maybe half the week or so, and the other half I spend more like managing and doing marketing and sales. And I love to keep it that way just because I love being involved into the tech. I love being involved into architecture design and solution design, trying to find the best way to address a problem with technology. And I feel like having both the like the non-technical and technical aspects together and is so relevant to bridge the gap between the people that are going to use the product and the actual coder. So I really want to maintain both of those skills and this ability. I think it's something we also want to keep in Uvo, that everyone should be at least somewhat technical, even the project manager or the people that do sales, because we want to erase that gap in between someone that talks about their problem and the technology as much as possible. We want like for people to be able to talk to the clients, understand their needs, but also in their mind sort of already translate that into how would it look and diminish that gap in communication. So I think that's really something we value as a company, that like technical ability and also that humane or that proximity we can have in projects in between the client and the team.
Maybe I want to ask you a bit about like the clients
Mhm.
that you have. Are they in the US, in Canada, both across the world? Who do you
Yeah,
serve?
they're both in the US and in Canada. Now more in Quebec, but when we originally started Uvo, most of our clients were San Francisco startups. And so we were really focusing our operations there. We wanted to expand over there, but through time we found that a lot of our network and untapped network was here in Montreal, that it was actually easier to meet people in conferences and events and use the people like use our network here to have like more projects and grow the company. So I would say now most of our efforts and most of our clients are either in Montreal or Quebec City, and we that's what geographically we focus at the moment, but we're soon deploying more efforts in the rest of Canada. I think one error that um, Quebec entrepreneurs make is that they want to stay within the province. They
Welcome.
see
Yeah.
Quebec as like oh, well, this is our territory and there's nothing else. Well, I believe that our like skills in AI are sort of like not unique, but to Montreal, but it's especially strong here, the AI community, and it can be exported outside of Quebec. I'm sure that a lot of businesses in BC and Ontario could use like more, there could be more players there. And this is based off intuition, but I think there's something to look for. And in the US as well, like well, hopefully there's not gonna be any tariffs on services anytime soon, but there's like the exchange rate makes it so much more interesting for US businesses to work with uh, consulting companies down here in Canada. I would say the only thing is we haven't figured out how to approach those markets to market ourselves correctly, to have like the right messaging. I think that's something that I would be happy to have help with, because it's I don't think the approach or the interaction with US based entrepreneurs is the same as here in Quebec. I feel like it's more crowded, maybe a bit like bigger players. Not there's not In Quebec is really like a small and medium company economy. I feel like it might be a bit different in the US. Like that's something I have to like figure out a bit more, to be honest.
I wasn't even gonna
Yeah.
go to the US. I was just gonna
Yeah.
ask, do you have a different strategy for other provinces?
Yeah, for I think we're like at the moment, and maybe it's like ignorance, but we're trying a bit of what works here in Canada, like in Quebec. We're trying to apply it to um, other provinces and see how that's gonna play out, and then we'll make adjustment. I think like this is a bit part of like being an entrepreneur is like creating those experiments for yourself. And even if you don't have like the clue or you don't exactly know how it's gonna pan out, is to start and try something and see how it's gonna work and then adjust or iterate on your strategies or your tactics. So I think that's how we're gonna approach it. Just like have do some first efforts, see if get some feedback, adjust, and try something else if it doesn't work.
So, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great being here.